Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
They know the ins and outs of everywhere we're going. They will protect you. Horses, run! And they just like block. I was like, what?
I feel like I got a great break on a used car. I thought that was a great quote.
This is war, Marcus.
He's going to the bathroom. Are you in his house, you little psycho? Oh, get out of there.
Look, it's a giant womb.
Yeah, no.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Find us. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of 150 episodes for your listening pleasure. What's going on? You ready to have a party of a lifetime?
Oh, I'm ready to party. I am ready to party.
We're going to become so popular. So popular.
We're the cool kids now, bro. Whose party are we at?
Go ahead. What are we doing?
We are doing Project X.
Not the Matthew Broderick one.
The 2012 party movie.
Not the
Project
chimpanzee
X.
one.
When three high school
Nice.
three high school seniors throw a birthday party to make a name for themselves. As the night progresses, things spiral out of control as word of the party spreads. This is Project X.
That's not in the synopsis. You put that in there.
That is not in the synopsis.
Nice. So Project X has a runtime of 88 minutes. It's rated R. Production budget of $12 million. Came out on Friday, March 2nd, 2012. Opening weekend, it did $21 million. Domestic, 54. Worldwide, 102, Butler, off of a $12 million budget.
That is absolutely insane.
That's fantastic. Production company was Silver Pictures and Green Hat Films, and it was distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures. Now, March 2nd, in 2012, it went up against a wide release of The Lorax. I was not a fan of The Lorax. Limited release on that same weekend, you had Being Flynn and Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie.
I really don't like Tim and Eric.
That's the Comedy Central one, right?
It's Adult Swim.
Adult Swim.
Maybe they had a comedy. I don't know.
No. I think I meant Adult Swim. You like? I don't like.
I'm not a big fan of their comedy.
No,
it's just not for me.
Is that the one where they look like they're hand drawn, like black and white? Is that right?
Sometimes, yeah, they do those kind of skits. They did Tom and whatever goes to the mayor, and had a bunch of
I think I know what you're talking about now. Okay, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Okay, March 9th, the week after, in a wide release, you had John Carter. It was known John Carter from Mars back then, but John Carter, A Silent House and 1,000 Words, and an unlimited release, Friends with Kids and Salmon Fishing in Yemen. I've actually seen both Friends with Kids and Salmon Fishing in Yemen. I don't know. Just throw that out there.
Of course you have.
Well, Ewan McGregor was in that.
I saw John Carter in Mars.
I think we watched that.
We did.
In IMAX.
We did.
Yeah, and it was...
I thought it was all right.
It was okay. I
didn't get the hate for it.
Well, I don't know. I never read... It was a graphic novel?
It was just an old novel.
Yeah.
It's one of the first sci-fi stories.
I never read it, so I never had any kind of connection to the source material, but I believe that was a lot of the problems with a lot of people, was that it wasn't like what they expected. Who knows? I don't know. The week before, the 24th of February, you had Act of Valor, Gone, Good Deeds, and Wanderlust in a wide release, and then the limited release, Goon. Goon's actually pretty funny. I recommend that. This movie, Project X, was directed by Nima Noorenzada. He's done American Ultra, Little America, the TV show, and the TV show Gangs of London. Screenplay was Matt Drake. He did Tully and Charlie Countryman. Story and screenplay credit goes to Michael Bacall, who's written Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, 21 and 22 Jump Street. Those are two separate films. Cinematography was Ken Sang, who's done Deadpool, Terminator Dark Fate, and Bad Words. Edited by Jeff Groff. He was nominated for an Oscar for his editing in Joker. He also has done War Dogs and The Hangover 2. Produced by Todd Phillips, who has also produced A Star is Born, All the King's Men, and the TV show Limitless. Obviously, Todd Phillips is the director because he directed Joker and amongst other things. But I wanted to give you just producing credits there.
Oh, okay.
He did the Hangover series as well. All right, so you had Thomas. Well, all these people are named. They have the same names as their characters. Thomas Mann plays Thomas. He is from Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, Kong Skull Island and the Highwaymen. Oliver Cooper plays Costa. He's in the TV show Red Oaks, which I'm going to recommend again to you because that's actually pretty good. I did never recommend it.
Don't think you've ever recommended it.
Red Oaks is a TV show on Prime. It's only 3 seasons long, but it takes place in the 80s on a country course, on a golf course. It's a country club.
So it's like an 80s comedy.
It's a little bit. It's comedy, but it's also got some drama elements. It's about a kid who he wants to be a filmmaker. Okay, but he's also working part time, and I believe Oliver Cooper plays his friend. It's actually pretty good. It's got some funny stuff. It's like a show that the best way I can describe it is like a show that it felt like it was made in the 80s. You know how some 80s films and TV shows now mind that nostalgia for you, and it's like it kind of like makes it look better than it was. This feels like somebody found this show in the 80s and reran it. That's how it feels.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
He's also in Office Christmas Party and The Frontrunner. Jonathan Daniel Brown as JB. He's in Kid Cannabis, The Final Wish, and Bad Milo. Dax Flame as Dax. He's in 21 Jump Street and The Watch. Kirby Bliss Bland as Kirby. She's in The Green Inferno, the 2018 Death Wish, and Final Frequency. And I want to say that might be a sequel to Frequency.
What?
I know. I believe so. I might be wrong there.
Direct to video, maybe.
You had Brady Hender as Everett. He was one of the security guards. He's in Infamous and The Man Who Came Back. And then Nick Nervis as Tyler. He's the other security guard. He's in Role Models, The Soloist, and the TV show Mr. Box Office. And then this must be his first film. Miles Teller as Miles. I'm sure a lot of people know who he is. He started off in the 2011 Footloose. He was in The Spectacular Now, and he's in the upcoming Top Gun Maverick.
He's not playing the actor version of him?
They call him Miles, and they call him Miles Teller, but no, they just say that he is a sports star, that he used to go to their high school. And he plays,
a sports star. Okay, I thought they said he lived around here. And okay, I thought he was just playing himself.
I don't know, but when they reference him, they reference the fact that he was a popular baseball player. So that's how they reference it. And then because I thought what you thought initially, and then when I went back and when I watched the movie, they referenced the baseball stuff, and I'm like, I don't think he's the actor. I don't think he's playing himself as himself. Okay. I think he's just playing his same name, but he's a different kind of minor celebrity.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, so Final Frequency is not a sequel.
It isn't. Oh, I wish it was now though. They did do a Frequency sequel.
I believe it went direct to DVD.
No, nobody's in it that was in the original movie. They definitely
did the TV show as well.
Oh, that's right. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking. All right, so you saw this already, right? No. Wow. Okay, so I saw this.
Yes.
All right. Before we get, you know what? What'd you think?
It's what I thought it would be. It's not a movie for me. It's just a bunch of people having a party, and then they filmed it.
Here's the thing. I didn't think that I would like it when I first watched it.
Right.
Initially, I was like, "Oh, let me watch it," because I'm not a big found footage guy, and we can get into that later. But I was surprised that I liked it. I don't know why I liked it. I just thought it was just ridiculous. I don't know why. I still like it. I don't know. I can't explain to you why. Because I don't know. I don't know.
Some
why.
part of you yearns to be part of a party like this.
It reminded me of the parties I used to attend. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If this is a movie that's for you, that's for you. But I don't really. There's nothing in there for me. There's very little story. I don't think you don't really get. The character arcs are kind of forced and just kind of generic that are in there, and it's just a bunch of like party nonsense. I don't think any of it was particularly funny. Mm-hmm. There were no moments within the party where I was like, oh shit, oh man. Like I was expecting maybe more from the party. It's based on real life, and obviously this is like a heightened version of whatever really went down. And there was nothing that made me really go, oh man, except for obviously they put the little person in the oven. He comes out and punches them all in the balls.
That's not what they call it in the movie.
Yeah, it's not. But that's the only thing I remember from the trailer is that part of the party. Right. So
and he also
I was like, all right.
He also drives the car into the pool at the end because he comes out.
What is he, suck my dick or something?
And he just starts punching people. Yeah. My favorite part about when he comes out of the oven and he starts punching people, he punches that girl last in the crotch. Yes, she's like, oh, I'm like, oh my God. So what Butler was referring to is that this is loosely based on a house party that was thrown by Corey Worthington in Australia, and this is when he was a teenager. He posted his address for the house party on MySpace. This is how long ago it was, and over 500 people showed up. It caused like $20,000 in property damage. his party attracted journalists and everyone hated it. Like the public didn't like it because they were being assaulted by random groups of teens. At the end of this film, when the news lady's talking to Costa, that's pretty much what happens when they did the same thing with Corey. They talked to him on a TV show. He's like, whatever, man. You should he was like completely just didn't care. Does that not affect you? The fact that it's based on a true story? Does that matter to you or no? I know you said you kind of didn't care, but
I didn't care because it doesn't go over there's nothing in here that I don't think I've never seen in a party movie. It's just found footage. Like I said, I wanted more jokes. And if it is based on real life, you have to accentuate that as well.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't anything that really made me go, whoa. And I hated the flamethrower guy. Like that's really the only super ridiculous thing that happens at the party. And I hated that.
What?
Except for when he screams, give me back my gnome. But other than that, it's like,
Oh, well,
because that's why he's doing it, because he wanted his gnome back. But the gnome's filled with drugs, and I would have liked it better if he was just going crazy for the gnome. He really wanted his gnome back.
Well, I think the drug angle, the fact that it's full of ecstasy, is that it kind of turns the party. It gets, because right now everyone's partying and it's getting out of control a little bit. But once everyone starts taking all those drugs, it's like
that's when they really get out of control.
No, it's definitely surrealistic. It's definitely something that you'd think would never happen, would never get to that point.
But it did.
Yeah, I know that. Well, that's funny is that they shot this on a set. They shot this on the same set as Lethal Weapon. So
I can kind of see that.
The neighbor that comes over and he gets shocked and then he punches the little kid. So when he goes back to his house and he's giving the finger, that's Murtaugh's house that he's giving the finger from. But so they shot on a set because they didn't want, because they're going to basically just trash everything.
Right. Yeah.
But they still got noise complaints from people that are around the area when because the shooting was for 5 weeks and it was from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. every night. So, and it was like they used 200 extras and they basically, and this is what I thought when they were doing this. I'm like, they've got to just be walking. They just go have a party. Like they got to just be doing that's how they're shooting a lot of this stuff.
Walk around and move people around.
So some of the footage is shot they handed out cell phones to the extras and they said,
just start filming
stuff to the point where the girl that they catch peeing behind the car is actually peeing behind the car because she had to go pee. And they were recording it and she was like, get out. So that's legitimately happening.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought that was just the sheer magnitude of how are you shooting any of this?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that kind of leads me to the point of the found footage. Like a lot of stuff with found footage, I don't like because there's a set of rules that they set up. And, they found this footage and they've put it together for me to see. And that was how Blair Witch was set up, the one of the first found footage films. Right. I don't think it was the first, but it was one of the first, or one of the more successful ones.
The big one, yeah.
And my thing with this is they don't really, it turned into a genre now where it's just, that's how it looks. Kind of like in The Office. The TV show The Office, they're in a documentary, and that pays off at the end of the series because they're the doc's weird, stuff. Yeah. But then you had a show like Modern Family that came out, and Modern Family did the same technique with no explanation.
They just suddenly talk,
no explanation of why they're doing that. So that's kind of what happens here. So my complaints are still valid because it's not like they say we found this. It's not like there's a disclaimer in front of this movie that's we found this footage of this party.
Well, they talk about how, and this is what's his face, Dax is just going around, he's going to shoot this for us.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go.
They do set it up. But then that means that we have to believe that Dax goes and gets all these other footage.
But that's the thing is some of the footage of the party does look like it's from cell phones. It does suddenly separate from Dax's somewhere else, and then he's all of a sudden at the party, or he's with Thomas in his room talking with Costa.
Yeah.
And then we also see the security guard kid.
Yes,
as well, and that's not really found footage. That's just him going. All right,
it's
over because he's on a walk.
It's him using, but he's recording himself sometimes, when he's in the car hiding.
Right,
he's recording himself. So, and when he's they have that one shot where he's in the
house.
Yeah,
which I do like that scene. That's just funny.
But
I'm in too deep.
So what I'm saying is that if you're gonna hold that, what I always talk about found footage to this movie, it doesn't hold up, and it kind of lacked in that regard. You know what I mean? I really like the movie Chronicle. But Chronicle does the same thing because Chronicle has one moment where it goes to the love interest, the girl's point of view, where she's holding a camera.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, so you spliced that editing in, you spliced that. So,
but the whole thing was supposed to be found at the end, in the mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
So that always bugged me in Chronicle, but they seem to always do that, except for Blair Witch, and I'm not the biggest Blair Witch guy.
Cloverfield usually keeps the camera in the one position as well.
The first one.
The first one.
I have so far forgotten like anything that's happened in Cloverfield. I don't know why. It's been so.
I really like
one
the first
time.
movie,
I don't not like it. I just don't remember.
Don't remember it.
Yeah,
but they do a good job of not going to other points of view and stuff. Obviously, they record over his old footage, so they do flash to like him and the girl previously, but it kind of all makes sense. I don't think it breaks its own rules. But yeah, Chronicle does a big thing.
You brought up Dax Flame. Dax, he's a YouTuber, I guess. So he was the 16th most subscribed YouTuber before starring in the movie. And a lot of these people it's their first film. They did an open casting call, with the exception of the guy who played Thomas Mann. He had some credits. And I guess he auditioned like 5 or 6 times to get the role. But everyone else, it's pretty much their first film.
Okay.
But I guess like this guy Dax, like I get his YouTube. I guess he kind of his flame petered out. He works at a sushi restaurant now. That's the note I got. Can you imagine someone writing that note into the IMDb Pro thing? Sushi restaurant. Yeah, that's right, Dax.
You probably saw him like, oh, you're Dax. What are you doing? Huh. Give me some more. I'll take another sashimi, man. Come on, let's go. I'm gonna put this in IMDb.
So you talk about the movie not having, I guess, a plot. Is that what you're trying to say? There's no real big.
I don't really think there's a big. I mean, obviously, it's the typical party plot. We want to have a party and get popular,
right? And
it's Thomas realizing that he had it in him to make the party the whole time. I don't know. Like, it's just I don't think there's a lot of character development. He gets Kirby back by going, "Oh man, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made out with that girl. I really just want to be with you next birthday." And it's just so. The whole point of the movie is obviously just to show this party, and I don't need that stuff. I think that's just trying to shoehorn a story elements in where it doesn't necessarily need to be.
I agree with you. I don't. This is not a plot driven movie.
No, not at all.
I mean, you could argue that it's it's more about the 3 characters, but I would argue that it's not really Thomas's film. It's Costa's film. That it's really about him.
Sure.
And to the point when that is accentuated by 2 things. One, the scene when they're all laying on the grass and they're kind of like, they're all high and they're all talking about, oh, we needed this. It looks like it's shot with a spotlight.
Yeah.
Costa's in the middle. He's in the middle of the 2 of them. And also another point was the studio suggested that the film be titled Happy Birthday Thomas Cub. But Todd Phillips, the producer, argued that it made the movie feel like a good-natured buddy comedy and not a no-holds-barred comedy like they were going for. Right. And the writers felt that Costa was the focal point in the movie. So I don't know why that they decided to do the Thomas and Kirby angle. Maybe that just felt natural to them. But like throughout the movie, definitely the second time watching this, I definitely thought this is Costa's film. This is his movie. And they don't really give him... They give his ending to Thomas. You can't really make him somebody who's trying to go for Kirby or, you know what I mean?
Thomas doesn't have any motivation really for the party.
Well, Costa's using his birthday as an excuse.
But Costa has the motivation, like a bunch of different motivations. Mm-hmm. He wants to become more popular and prove that he can put on a great party.
Yeah.
Prove that he is what he always talks up. He always talks up like what his life was like in Long Island. And he wants to show, I'm telling you, this is what I was. And he's trying to prove to his friends that he was this party guy. And he's trying to get laid. Thomas doesn't care. He doesn't even want the party. So it's like he doesn't really have much motivation.
Well, he doesn't want the huge party. He just wants a little get together. Yeah.
So, again, the Kirby stuff is all shoehorned in. It just doesn't really hold through. Costa being the main character makes more sense, but Thomas is still the focal point.
Well, it's his party.
It's his party. It's his house. He's got more at stake with the party.
Right. A lot of reviews have labeled this movie misogynistic. Do you agree?
I mean, there's boobs.
Okay.
And making out.
Well, listen, this type of party does not happen.
But it's a teenage. Yeah, the girls aren't going to see nude girls only in the pool.
This type of party does not happen. I mean, you could talk to me all I've been to parties like that. No, you have not.
But I can see how in some ways, like the one girl who just takes her clothes off for Thomas and makes out because it's his birthday and is like all about that.
No.
or, Kirby taking Thomas back for absolutely no reason. And that Costa obviously calls the news reporter sugar tits and went, what of it, sugar tits?
Well, yes.
And kind of tells her off at the end. That I thought was a little much. Like, I was like, I don't need that. I thought it was like a huge dick. Like, I didn't see that as part of his character. But other than that, I don't think it's any more misogynistic than most other like party movies.
Right. Well, and I mean, we talk about this all the time in films of how, female characters are written differently or not written at all in terms of like being built up.
Right. And this character's,
right.
This film's definitely one of those.
Right. And that's why you have a movie like Cockblockers that comes out that is pretty much like this movie, but it's about
the girls. Yeah. Which is nice.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And even Superbad kind of goes on the other side of not just
because it shows Emma Stone's character.
Right.
Yeah,
so Superbad does that as well. But I will say that it's not a counter, but my only comment is that like I absolutely believe that the way they talk to each other and the way they talk and the words they use and how they treat each other is almost 95% on par with what happens in high school.
I do think that's cool. I didn't throw like slang and be like, hey, we got to be hip.
Right.
It's actually like how people talk.
Right. It's, I mean, like I had to laugh because one of the lines in the movie made me laugh because they're going around like, hey, you going to the party? Hey, you going to the party? And they go to this one kid. He's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? He's like, get high, fuck bitches. You don't even know. And I'm sitting there going, I'm like, you're gonna probably do, get high, and that's about it. It's like that made me laugh because it's like clearly like, no, you're not. Dude.
Get high, go to sleep.
Yeah,
eat some Cheetos.
Yeah, it's like you will do nothing tonight, but get high and just probably like fall down in your own pile of vomit. Like that's what's gonna happen with you, pal. And so that makes, but that make like if you see that's the thing. Like I can watch that and know that he's full of it. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't take what he says at face value. I was like, oh, this guy's ridiculous. I can't believe he's going to do that to me. Like, no, he's not. No one knows what they're doing at 16 and 17.
He's going to talk a big game.
Exactly. They just don't want to be made fun of. And they just want to, they think about, oh, I want to have a good time. But like, when you're like, well, what does that mean to you? You're like, I don't know.
Yeah. What to be with a girl? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'll find out, I guess.
So there is a believability factor for me for a lot of the fact that it's manic, the way it was shot, that it's not neat. Like even like the big scene, like when Miles, bat hits the gnome and explodes. Like that's like almost like it is a pivotal scene in the movie. So you think that it would be shot differently, but it wasn't. It was still shot rough. It was still just kind of like choppy. Like that's how it is when you think, like when we look back and think about, oh, we had a party or, oh, we did this thing. You always look back and you always polish over everything. And you always think that like, oh, it happened so perfectly. And even in movies, any kind of event always is shown as everything breaks right and so perfect. But like something like this, it's like, it's completely a haphazard and there's no rhyme or reason to half the stuff that's going on in here. Right. That's just kind of like, I think why I liked the manic nature of the way it was shot and the way it looked. I don't know. I still like the movie. It made me laugh. Stuff made me laugh. Am I going to sit here? I'm not going to, I mean, your points are valid. So like, you know what I mean? Like I can't sit and be like, no, you're right. But this is the most pirated movie in 2012. 8.7 downloads.
Because kids are pirating. That's where kids want to watch all the crazy party.
I got to tell you, I did not know it made this much money. It made 102 million worldwide. That kind of shocked me.
That's a lot. That's more than I thought. I knew it made a ton, but that is more than I thought it would make.
And I guess as of December 2012, so it's the same year. It had earned $15.5 million on home box office of rentals and DVDs and stuff like that. So it's probably still, I mean, by now it's probably up there. It's probably still got a lot of money going on.
Probably does well for Netflix.
What's up?
Probably does well for Netflix.
Oh, I'm sure that's why they have it. I'm sure you're going to keep seeing it.
Oh, yeah. People try streaming it all the time.
Yeah. So a little bit more about the movie itself. Todd Phillips also described this film as an experiment. And executive producer Alex Heineman provided a basic concept with a lot of members of the production team sharing tales of parties they had attended and heard about. And the writers put that into the script. And speaking of the writer, Bacall, who probably wrote a majority of the script, was working on the script at night while he was writing 21 Jump Street and Scott Pilgrim in the day at the same time. I mean, like, are you kidding me?
Really?
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim and 21 Jump Street?
That's what the note said.
The Scott Pilgrim came out way before either of these
maybe
movies.
He was working on edits, or maybe that the script was
old.
Yeah, I don't know.
So would 21 Jump Street. Although I imagine 21 Jump Street had been rewritten so many times as well.
True. Probably get all those jokes in.
I like that to create a bond between all three of the actors, they sent them to Disneyland.
That seems to be a theme with a lot of movies that deal with groups of people that are supposed to be close knit. You go have them go. We did Shallow Grave a couple weeks ago.
They had to stay in their own loft for a week and stuff like that.
But that makes sense though, because you want your three leads not to be awkward.
You want them to kind of get their mannerisms down. Yeah, you want them to know each other.
So I'm curious. You like that, but
sure.
I think we both don't like for say instance, The Power of the Dog. When Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't talk to Kirsten Dunst.
I don't like method things.
Yeah, but why does that? I'm curious what's the difference there?
You're trying to build chemistry when you have the actors go off and do something,
sure,
so that their dialogue comes off as natural. But when you do something where it's just like I'm not going to talk to her, or I have to smoke, I have to be Winston Churchill and smoke cigars till I get tobacco poisoning, like Gary Oldman. Stuff like that, I think, is just you don't need that to get chemistry. You don't need that to get into the character. You're supposed to, get into their headspace. You don't need to do that to get into their headspace. Mm-hmm. Just because they did something doesn't mean you have to do it to get there. The whole thing has to be an actor.
Right.
That's why I'm not a big fan of the proponent of you have to be something to play something.
Right.
The whole point of actor is you're a professional pretender. And if you can't pretend, you're not a good actor. But getting chemistry makes sense because you need to be friendly with people. That's why there's rehearsals in plays and stuff like that. Not just obviously to memorize the dialogue and know your mark, but to be able to say the lines naturally and to be able to have this unspoken bond between you and the other actors. As viewers, you're like, yeah, okay, I believe they've known each other for a long time. And on film, especially, you don't get that. You get a couple takes, but then it's like, all right, on to the next take. You don't spend, 6 months rehearsing, getting your marks down, all that kind of stuff. And now the show opens and you just kind of improve upon that over time. Like, let's say the producers with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, people started going there because their chemistry was so great. That's why the play lasted so long. But movies don't get that kind of leeway. Mm-hmm. So doing something like that makes sense.
What did you think of, seeing that you're talking about actors? What did you think about the performances? Anyone jump out? Anyone you didn't like?
Costa's good. I like Costa.
Oliver Cooper.
Yeah, Thomas doesn't have much to do other than to freak out that people are trashing his house. JB doesn't do much for me. I don't know about JB, and Kirby is just kind of, like I said, thrown in there.
Did you ever see these guys in other stuff? Like, did you ever see Me and Earl and the Dying Girl with Thomas Mann? Or
I've seen Thomas Mann in a few things. Yeah,
right. Cooper you've seen before in other stuff, but he's been smaller roles. I think he's in that Pizza Hut commercial now.
Nice.
With
hey man, that pays money.
Kirby was in The Green Inferno and obviously Death Wish 2018, so she's been in some stuff.
I never saw Green Inferno, but I did see Death Wish.
And obviously Miles Teller. So you kind of were okay with the three of them together totally, or?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really do anything that was like crazy impressive, but they didn't do anything to upset me. And I was like, I don't know if I'd buy them as friends. Like, I totally bought them as friends, but they didn't have any standout scenes where I was like, oh man, yes. Whereas the two little kid security guards, I think, stole the show from me.
They were good. Awesome. Yeah.
He's going to the bathroom. Are you in his house, you little psycho? Oh, get out of there. Ninjas are pussies. I love this kid. You're not calling anyone. You just punched a little kid.
Oh, I know. I forgot that he punches him. And it was like, oh. How about, did you like it when the cops came and Costa's talking to him? Like, no, I'm pretty sure you can't. You can't come in. Yeah.
If I say no, you can't come in.
Yeah.
I'd rather you not, officer. No, I'm
sorry. So there was going to be a sequel. 4 days after this movie was released, it was announced that there was going to be a sequel called Project XX. And Bacall was going to write it. And it was actually, they had a release date of August 19th, 2016, but obviously that never happened. I don't know what you're going to do.
It doesn't matter. You just have a party. Again, nothing goes on in this movie other than there's a huge party.
European vacation party?
Everyone comes to it. You're going to get all the college and high school kids coming to watch it, or high school kids buying tickets for another movie and then sneaking into it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't get why they didn't make another one. It's not a hard movie to make.
Made a lot of money for a lot.
Exactly.
You're going to have to pay, if you're going to use the same actors, you're going to pay them a little bit more. So your budget's going to go up maybe 22 million, 20 million. But, I mean, opening weekend, I mean, you completely wiped out the budget. So You're good. Yeah.
What's the marketing?
It's usually, marketing is usually equal to the amount of the budget.
No, I know, but
yeah.
do you need that with another Project X? I don't know. So you go to colleges, you do like, hey guys, here's some Project X themed, beer pong cups and stuff like that.
Well, didn't they didn't remake it, but wasn't there a show on Prime or Netflix that kind of did this where they were drinking? The kids were like, was it like binge or something like that? Or, you're old, man. You're making me, what's funny binge? Is that I'm surprised that I like this more than you because obviously I'm older than you. I thought you would like this because you're more, you're younger. You're just a stick in the mud.
There's so many party movies, and there's so many party movies where there are moments that are really crazy or really make me laugh. And this was an out of control party, but like you said, it's a party.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what I don't like. It is it's just a college party amped up to 11. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what I wasn't a big fan of. And there's no real moment between the three leads. Where they're just like, there's the moment where they're lying in the grass, but
there's no moments that, and also at the end when they're walking in the hallway at school and everyone's like, oh, great party because they're popular.
Right.
Now.
Like, I don't know. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just exactly what I expected, which was like, it's a fun, easy watch, but I don't think it really gives I don't like Superbad that much.
Right. Yeah. You know what's funny is I mentioned that someone the other day was asking me to rank Wedding Crashers and The Hangover and Superbad, and I was like, well, Superbad's 3.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, I love it. I go, oh, okay, but not as good as Wedding Crashers and The Hangover.
No. Yeah. I get why some people like Superbad, but I don't personally think it's very good.
Yeah. I haven't seen it forever.
But there are moments that are good, and I think Superbad's got Jonah Hill and Michael Cera's chemistry and their story together for that night that they're going through.
And McLovin
is really strong. Oh, McLovin is the
I don't even know his real name. I don't care. I don't care to.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
I don't care to know his real name.
But I don't know how that came to the top of my head because I usually go, hey, it's McLovin. that storyline is the only good part of Superbad that I enjoy. But Michael Cera, Jonah Hill stuff has weight. It's got meaning. It's actually trying to say something. And I don't think this has that to hold it together.
I don't think this movie's trying to say anything, though. That's my my counter.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. And I think maybe that's why I don't enjoy it as much as
me. What are you trying to say, me?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with liking.
Turn off your brain, Butler. So let's go to some reviews so you can find some people that you agree with. Empire's Chris Hewitt referred to the central characters portrayed by Mann, Cooper, and Brown as spectacularly unlikable. He labels the characters unrepentant, nihilistic, vile, venal, animalistic, avaricious, charmless, entitled, sub-Kardashian, stunningly irresponsible brats. He stated that the film is possibly the worst film of the last 20 years, is certainly the worst comedy of the last 20 years, and he called Cooper, this is Costa, the most annoying movie character since Jar Jar Binks. Well,
damn.
So that's who you're siding with.
Some of what he says isn't untrue. They are entitled sub-Kardashian brats. I mean, they're obviously part of the rich part of town in what looks like southern Los Angeles.
They're in Pasadena. They're in Pasadena.
California. So they're obviously rich, like spoiled brats, obviously. That's clear as day. They do become a bit of like assholes as the party goes on.
Sure.
Because I think things spiral out of control to the point where they have no choice but to give in to the party.
But they also are, drug induced, so their inhibitions have been worn down.
And on stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know about violence. They're definitely not vile. Although Costa does, I think he does get vile when he's on the news with that reporter. I think that's like a shift. He's not like trying to sell you something anymore. He's just being an ass.
Well, that's his MO. That's who he is.
I don't know if that matches.
Why? Because
Costa
everyone
from earlier.
I think it does because he's on a show. Everyone's gonna watch him. Everyone's gonna know that he threw the bitches party, and they're gonna.
I get that talking it up, but I don't know.
Robbie Collin of The Telegraph called the film flamboyantly loathsome on every imaginable level. And of the 3 characters, he says, unlike Superbad's leads, these 3 are poisonously unpleasant, and the supposedly comedic banter between them comes off as bullying. Now, my thing with that quote is he talking about that they're bullying each other? Because newsflash, Robbie, that's what friends do. They bully each other.
Yeah. I mean,
this is something probably more so with guys than girls when they're growing up, but I had a group of friends, and I have never been ripped on more than I was ripped on with my friends.
No, yeah, I didn't think their banter was bullying.
Yeah, that's how kids are, man. But now I got a positive one, so you can
disagree with that.
No,
I disagreed with your negative reviews.
No,
too.
Owen Gleiberman accused the negative reviews of fulfilling the role of all those uptight parents in the 50s news reports about the dangers of rock and roll by applying moral judgments to the events of the film. So you're like these old fuddy-duddies from the 50s.
I don't agree with the fuddy-duddies, or I don't agree with the. I think the film is what it is. I don't think the party is violent enough. Like I want
him to go more. I want him to murder people.
I don't think it was extreme enough.
What are you talking about? The house gets burned down.
From the flamethrower guy that randomly appears.
But they caused that by stealing his meth, or his excuse me, not his meth, his ecstasy. What about the guy? What about the little person that drives the car into the pool?
That's about the shocking thing. Like I don't know.
He jumps off his roof into a bouncy house. That kid breaks his finger. JB breaks his finger.
Yeah, the finger's gross.
What did you think about the dad?
I liked the quote, although again, the movie they're trying to shoehorn a theme at the end of it.
Right.
That wasn't there, but I do like the dad's quote at the end. Like he's clearly mad at his son, but he's just like, I didn't think you had it in you. I'm so sorry, Dad. No, I literally didn't think you had it in you. Because at the beginning of the film, he talks about how his son would never be able to throw a party.
And I like that, but the one thing I don't like is when he calls him a loser. Because I was like, you're not going to do that. Nobody. I mean, because he said it with such seriousness. It's like, dude, you think your son's a loser? I mean, come on, he's just not like that. That just, if he just didn't say that part, right? I think the bookend would have been fine with me.
Sure.
I just really had a problem with him calling his son a loser. I just thought this would be funny if he says this. But
this is what your parents think about you kids.
Yeah, but I don't think it was funny enough for it to be put in there. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't a huge fan of that line.
What does he say? I mean, you're fucked or something? Does he say, the dad?
Oh, you're yeah, because he's taking his college money,
college fund and all that. Yeah,
he's paying for everything. They're living in the Radisson or whatever.
Yep. He's got to drive his burnt up minivan as a punishment. Although that's not street legal. You can't drive that.
But here's the other thing too. You go away on the weekend of his birthday. Like you don't even sugarcoat saying like you have kind of a conference or something you got to go to. Your wife's going with you. No, you guys are going away for the weekend, and it's his birthday,
his 18th birthday.
Yeah, I mean, come on here. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I didn't like. You couldn't do it the following weekend.
Happy birthday, son! Happy 18th birthday. Also, no parties. Also, we're going away.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
You can't have any fun this weekend, but we're not going to be here to do anything for you. Like, what is that? So that was kind of just, come on. Maybe that's why he threw the party, because his parents were jerks. Let's talk about release date, because this movie got pushed back. This movie was supposed to be released November 2011, and it got pushed to March. Now, I know you don't like the film as much, but what do you think about its original release date of November? Do you think that being in March helped it?
Yeah, it would have gotten swallowed by movies you'd rather see. Like, as much as everybody wants to see a party film with like drugs and boobs and all that kind of stuff, because that's who was coming to I remember this release. That's who was coming to the movie. But in November, you've got bigger movies. This is 2012, so you've already got Marvel movies coming up around this time, probably in November. It's just going to get swallowed up by the Oscar films or the action movie of the time or the big kids movie of the time. Whereas March, there was nothing competing.
So in 2011, November 4th weekend, I'll give you the big releases. You had Tower Heist and A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas.
There's your stoner movie.
Then the 11th, you had Jack and Jill. Yes, you had. I love Pacino and Jack and Jill. I don't care what anybody says. You had the wide release of J. Edgar, and you had Immortals. And then you had on the 16th, you had The Descendants. On the 18th, you had The Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1, which is probably the Thanksgiving movie. Happy Feet 2. And then after that, you had The Muppets, the 23rd. That might have been the holiday one. Arthur Christmas, Hugo. So you're right. There was probably jam-packed. I don't care what anybody says. I know nobody likes Jack and Jill, but I love Al Pacino and Jack and Jill. It's one of my favorite performances. But anyways, I digress.
Better than Revolution?
burn this. No, yes, it's definitely better than Revolution. Just the scene when they show him the Dunkachino ad that they did for Al Pacino, and it's at the end credits, and he's like, burn this. No one can see this. It's so, oh my God, I just love it. I can't believe you didn't like it. No, I can't believe. No.
I can't believe you, funny dude.
So I guess, I mean, maybe.
Why do you think it's forgotten?
Well, I don't know.
It's made so much money.
Why do I think it's forgotten? Why do I think people aren't? Why? Because I think people
aren't talking about it.
I think, well, you're a good example of the fact that the believability factor of, listen, I know this party does never exist in real life. Nobody ever goes to these parties. I've been to parties, and I've been to big size parties, mostly in college, and they were never like this. Never. And now,
no, because the cops actually show up and tell you break
exactly. Maybe I'm just not cool enough. Maybe I wasn't invited to those parties. Maybe that was the reason. Maybe that's, but they never happen in real life. But obviously, this isn't real life. This is a movie, so that there's always a suspension of disbelief, even in any kind of film. But I think that maybe. Obviously, this isn't good. This type of movie is not going to attract an older audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not a movie that really will. I don't know if it's a movie that would translate well as people get older. So a majority of the people that saw this film were probably in their early 20s, teenagers, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20-year-olds. As they get older, they probably forgot about it, obviously, because that's what the podcast is about. They also just don't probably go back, and they don't probably, you know what I mean? And it's such a movie that is. It's not timeless because it's found footage. It's not like a film it's not repeatable. It's a rated R movie. It's not a hard R, but it's a solid R. So a lot of times those films are not really. They just kind of fall through the cracks. I think if you reminded people of this movie who probably were not my age, probably were maybe younger than you, I think they would remember this. Oh, that's right. I think this movie just. Maybe it's forgotten now because it's only been 10 years.
Okay.
Maybe in 15 and 20, this movie starts getting.
It'll pop up.
Remember Magic X? And maybe it's too early for it to be kind of like, why it hasn't been back into the ethos or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a believability factor for a lot of people. I think they kind of write it off if they hadn't seen it. And they saw the trailers for it, and they were just kind of like, and nobody said like, no, you really need to see this movie. They probably were like, I don't want to watch that. Like you were like, it is what I expected, that kind of thing. So that's probably part of it. I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, but
no, I mean, it made a ton of money, but I think the only reason it would be forgotten is no one talks about it.
Sure.
They watched it and it came and went, but I think that speaks to kind of my problems with the film.
Right.
Is that it just is a party.
Right.
There's nothing to really hold it together that makes you kind of remember parts of it more than other films.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I guess that's the end of that episode. Butler, where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. While you're there, check out all the other great podcasts that are there. We're also available on, the socials, Spotify,
the
YouTube,
socials.
Also wherever you get your podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps our podcast grow. And then join us on Forgotten Cinemas, the lobby on Facebook, where we talk about movies. You can kind of communicate with us and let us know what you guys thought of Project X if you saw it.
And join us next week, where we're going to the future, post-apocalyptic future, but we're only going 1 year in terms of movie years. This movie is from 2013. We're watching Tom Cruise in Oblivion. That is next week on the show.
I do love Oblivion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's what I expected. I don't know.
I know you like Oblivion.
Oh, I do. It's been on. It's actually been on HBO or Stars or one of them. So when it's on, I'll watch it. So.
Tom Cruise is probably our most repeated actor on this podcast.
Listen, I know there's obviously there's outside of movie things with Tom Cruise that we all have issues with, or we just kind of shake our head going, "What?" But he delivers more than he doesn't in films. Yep. So, I mean, you have to respect that. So, and we're ready for Mission Impossible on the moon. So whenever that's happening, that's great too. But next week we're talking about Oblivion. Until then, everyone have a great week. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Hello, my name is Andrew Morgan.
My name is Shane Beauregard.
And my name is Chris Frodell.
And together, we form like Voltron to make a brand new entertainment and pop culture podcast called Recent Activity.
Every Wednesday, we will bring you deep dive reviews of the hottest titles from around the film and TV world, previews of the next big things to add to your watch list, or do fun things like top 5 lists, movie drafts, or anniversary celebrations of your favorite classic films.
Subscribe now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Starting May the 11th.